Hello, this is Emma of EmmaLiveYoga and welcome to this Ashtanga Yoga 30-day challenge for beginners. So happy January, here we are to do this beginners class, which will have lots of options, lots of variations to enable anybody, whatever body you're in, to do this practice. So we're going to start off with an introduction, the principles of Ashtanga Yoga. So come to comfortable seated, which may look different to this. So if you need to be in a different position, including a chair, or stretch the legs out, that's fine with me. Wherever you are, just make sure you can find the sitting bones equally. And then on the inhale, lift and lengthen. And on the exhale, relax the shoulders. So I'm going to go through the principles of Ashtanga Yoga, but we'll begin with the first thing, which is the Ashtanga Chant. So the opening chant begins every class of Ashtanga Yoga, and basically we're giving thanks to the rishis or the seers, the yogis who have tread the path before us, and we're also offering our energy out for the good of all sentient beings. This then makes the practice less about where an arm or a leg is, and much more about the energy that we can harness, the prana we can create, which we can then take out into the world to make the world a better place. So don't worry with the Sanskrit, it sounds complicated. Sincerity is always better than accuracy. So bring in the hands to Anjali Mudra. Take a few moments to connect with the heart space, the breath. So I'm going to say the chant. If you play this class a few times, you can gradually learn the chant. It begins and ends with the vibration of Om. So taking a breath in. Vande Gurunam Charna Ravinde Sumdasht Satsva Sapara Pote Nishte Se Jankai Kaimani Samsala Hala Hala Muha Shantye Abahu Purushakaram Shankachakrasi Tarinam Sahasrashvarasam Shvetam Pranamani Patanjalim Om. Gently release the hands and we'll begin with our first principle Ashtanga, which is Bandha. So Bandha can mean lock, but more accurately it means valve. So we have two bandhas, Mula Bandha located in the pelvic floor and Uddiyana Bandha located around the navel. So we have this sense of drawing in and up throughout the practice, which in the Western world would be known as engaging the core. But really Bandha is more subtle than that. But we start off with the gross, the physical. So initially we squeeze the muscles of the pelvic floor and we feel the drawing in and up. And at the same time, this valve-like action, remember that translation of valve, means that we can breathe at the same time. So just practice dropping the bandhas. So we don't squeeze, we just kind of slump TV yoga style and we have no real support for the back. If we engage the bandhas, we squeeze, we lift through that central line, automatically we take a breath. And really as beginners, this is where the Bandha practice starts. Eventually we have a more subtle sense of drawing up through a central core, kind of like air traveling up a straw. But initially we try to focus on the gross, which is the body. So that's Bandha. So we've got those sitting nice and tall. We have the Yujai Breath in Ashtanga Yoga. So breath with sound, or the ocean breath, it's known as. It's also known as victorious breath, which is a nice positive translation. So we're going to practice this. So engage in the bandhas. You're going to take a breath in, and on the exhale, you'll breathe out through the mouth and open the mouth nice and wide. So take an inhale, and then exhale out through the mouth. Do this again. Nice long inhale, engage the bandhas. Exhale out through the mouth. Keep the bandhas. Now this time, when we do this and breathe out, you're going to close the mouth halfway down through that out breath. So we'll take a breath in. Exhale. Try that again. So you'll notice that there's breath with sound, almost an ocean-like sound. That's what we create with the Ujjayi. Take an inhale. Exhale, mouth open. Then close. So then we keep the mouth closed and keep the breath moving in the nostrils. So we sound a little bit like Darth Vader. That's okay. That's an easy way to remember how to breathe, the breath with sound. So this breath happens like a metronome throughout the practice. Good. Next we have Drishti. So Drishti can mean focus or gaze point. There are various focus points throughout the practice. It may be that we gaze at the thumbs. It may be that we look down towards the toes. We may look off the tip of the nose and beyond. So we have all these gaze points as a way of directing and focusing the mind. The gaze isn't a rigid, intense one. It's just placing the gaze in an area and staying in that area for the 5 breaths that the posture lasts. So it's just this way of keeping the mind in the practice, which makes the Ashtanga Yoga practice a moving meditation. We connect gaze, Drishti, Bandha, breath, and movement, which is our next principle. So we have asana, posture, or pose. So when we get to the asana, as I said, I will be giving you different options from seated, from kneeling, from standing options as a way into these postures, making the posture fit your body and not the other way around. So there's no stress or strain. We always practice with ahimsa, kindness, and respect to the body, allowing it to be where it is. The final principle is vinyasa, and vinyasa means to flow. So this is the connecting movements between each of the asanas of the primary series, which kind of makes this like a symphony. So you breathe in and lift, breathe out, and you fold. So initially the practice begins with this kind of symphony of bending, lifting, and folding, which is the Surya Namaskar A and B. Surya A comes into the rest of the practice as well. So whenever I say take your vinyasa, you will take this flow, whether that's from seated, kneeling, or a standing base. So really it's about staying in the flow of the breath as opposed to what the body is doing. So you can take any of the options of vinyasa that I give you and just feel that you're in the flow. Know that if the breath becomes distracted, the breath becomes labored, then that usually is your cue to drop down to an option, possibly seated, where you can really re-engage and reconnect with your Yujai breath and just stay happy. So those are the principles of our Ashtanga Yoga practice. I hope you're going to join me for these 30 days so you can really feel good, feel the energy that's generated by Ashtanga, feel better, really connect with the body and the breath, and we will take it from there. So thank you for listening to this introduction, and namaste.